What's up people, so I see you elsewhere. This is Undefeatable Twilight with a little update on my life and a few tips for others who are going through a similar process as me, because I am discovering things that I really probably should have discovered a hell of a long time ago, and I thought I'd share them with you guys, because you probably may know or may not know, depending on how closely you've been keeping up with my videos. I am transgender. I am male to female transgender, and I know I make absolutely no effort whatsoever, like only a token effort to sound feminine. I am working on the voice, I promise, it's just coming along very slowly. But I'm finally, on the 20th of this month, I'm going to, so in 2 days, I'm going to the gender clinic for another appointment. Which is the second time. I've been there since November last year, which was the first time I went there. And I have no idea what's going to happen, but hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be starting hormones soon. So that's pretty exciting. So yeah, and I am also in the process of finally legally changing my name, because I have tried to do this many times and I just got so mixed up, I can't talk right now, so mixed up and so confused, because there's so many different requirements that you have to do, and if you go on the UK government website, which is where I originally was going to try and do this, it's not very well explained at all. It's very confusing, and it makes it sound a lot more complicated than it actually is. So that's what I want to talk with you guys about now. This only applies if you are living in the UK, like me. If you live in America or somewhere else, then I'm afraid I don't know how that works there. But basically, changing your name is actually pretty simple. In the UK, the law basically says that if you want to change your name, most of the time, the only thing you need to do is to start using a new name. As long as you are over 18 and, you know, not mentally ill or anything like that, then if you want to change your name, that's all you need to do. You just need to start using a new name and get everyone to start calling you by the new name. However, that only works most of the time for some things like, for example, bank accounts, passports, you know, job centre, government stuff, etc. You do need a deed poll, and that's where the complication sets in. There are sites online. I will post link to the one I used in the description, where you can basically generate your own deed poll. You can either do it two ways. You can do a free deed poll, which will work probably 95% of the time, or you can do what's called a statutory declaration, which you print out and then have to take to a solicitor to sign it, which they will charge a small fee for. I've read that they are not allowed to charge more than £10 for doing this, but the actual fee will vary depending on where you go. So yeah, so the free deed poll is basically, as it says, free. There are many sites where you can generate your own just by filling in your old name, your new name, whatever, and then you have to print it out, and it has to be signed by you and in the presence of two witnesses, and these two witnesses have to be over 18, they have to be people who know you but are not related to you and do not live in the same household as you. So you print it off, you sign it in front of them, you get them to sign it, you get them to fill out the details on the form as well, and then basically that's it. You just start using your new name. You can take that to places. If you want to go for a statutory declaration, which is easier although more expensive, you can go online and there are websites which will generate a statutory declaration for you. I will put links to all these sites in the description. But yeah, you fill that out and then you have to take it to a solicitor and you have to sign it in their presence and get them to sign it, and then they will probably stamp it with an official seal or something, and that will get you, that will be pretty much 100% of the time people will accept that if you give them that, because it's got an official stamp, official seal on it, and it's got, you know, a solicitor has witnessed it. There's basically no way they can argue with that, but most of the time the free one will work. And once you've done that, first thing you should do is go to the bank, because your bank account is linked to your credit report, which is also linked to basically everything else: your national insurance number, your DWP profile, you know, Department of Work and Pensions, your government thing, basically everything that you receive or money from or give money to is linked to your credit report, which is linked to your bank. So once your name changes on your bank account, that information will be passed onto your credit report, which will then be passed on to everyone else. So go to the bank, tell them you changed your name, give them the deed poll, wait about a week or so, and then people like the government or your landlord or whatever will start calling you to confirm that you've changed your name, and then you can say, yeah, I've changed my name. Where it comes to titles, there is basically no law governing titles in the UK. The only law that there is that governs titles is that you're not allowed to use a title that you're not entitled to. Like, you can't say doctor or professor or master, lord, lady, whatever. But you're allowed to use whatever title you want, regardless of your gender. So even if you are still, like me, still legally male, you can still call yourself Miss, and no one is going to stop you, because legally no one can. So that's why if you want to change your title, you can basically, when you go to the bank, tell them I've changed my name. Also, I've changed my title as well. I am now Miss blah 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 instead of Mr. for example, is what I did. And most of the time, and you know, they can't do anything against that, because you can't legally, but you can legally use whatever title you want as long as it's not misleading. And I don't mean misleading as in using a different, I mean misleading as in making people think that you have a qualification that you don't have. For example, doctor or professor or whatever. So yeah, but that wouldn't actually change your gender. You'd still be, like in my case, I've changed my name and gender. I've changed my name and title on my bank account, but I am still listed on there as male. So if you want to change your gender, you have to get a letter from your doctor, which you have to request. Now I'm going to go right back, rewind a bit, because otherwise I'm going to be bouncing around all over the place trying to fit this into a coherent story. So the first thing you need to do, like the very first thing, once you've decided that, yes, I am transgender, I do want to transition, this is what I want to do, I want to live my life as the opposite sex or whatever, you go to the doctor and you say basically I do not feel comfortable I don't feel comfortable in this body or whatever, I feel like I'm transgender, I want to transition, can you set me on the path of doing so? And what they will do basically is send you to a lot of psychiatrists and make you go through many... Hi, nice. This cat always comes on. I'm propping my phone up on my laptop like I usually do, and this cat always comes over on my laptop when I'm trying to use it. as cats do. So anyway, yeah, they'll send you through a lot of, at least this is what they did to me. You might not have to do this. You might get lucky. They'll send you to a lot of psychiatrists. Have a lot of sessions with you where you talk about, like, when did you start feeling this way, what have you done about it, etc., etc. Basically evaluating you to see if you do actually, quote unquote, qualify as transgender. And don't worry too much about it, because it used to be very strict. Like, you would have to, if you were a trans girl like I am, you would have to basically really play up, like, your femininity. Like, say I played with dolls all the time when I was little, like, dressed in female clothes, whatever. But nowadays they're a lot more relaxed about it. I mean, I was honest, like as honest as possible when I was going there, and I told them I basically presented myself as male right up until I was about 22, maybe, when I started, realizing that I felt more comfortable being identified as feminine and female, and expressing myself as female. And I was a bit worried that they were going to think, like, oh, this person hasn't been transgender for long enough. That's not good enough, disqualified. But no, so far everything's fine. It seems very positive. So yeah, so don't worry too much about that. So, because they are, at least in this part of the UK, they are quite relaxed about that kind of thing. So after you do that, you go to, I might have to split this video up because it's gone on longer than I thought it would. After you do that, you go to wait, what am I talking about? Yeah, you go to all the psychiatrists, you do that, and then eventually, and when I say eventually, for me it was at least 3 years before this happened. Eventually you get an appointment at the nearest gender clinic to you. Oh, by the way, pro tip, if you are on benefits, like I am, whether it's job seekers allowance or income support or any kind of benefit, and you have to travel to the gender clinic, you can get the travel cost reimbursed, but you have to take some proof that you are getting benefits. So you have to take a bank statement with you that shows that you receive benefits. I did not know this at first, so I had to live with spending about 40 quid on a train. But just so you guys know, if this ever applies to you, you can get the cost reimbursed if you have to travel to the gender clinic. Just remember to take your bank statement with you and then say that you want to get the cost back, and they'll do it for you. So anyway, yeah, after that you'll go to the gender clinic, where they'll talk with you more, evaluate your mental health, basically your level of mental health. Like, have you got any serious problems like depression or anxiety or anything like that might negatively affect, might cause hormones to negatively affect you. And they'll also probably do blood samples. They also probably will do genital examinations, so you need to be prepared for that as well. They did it on me as well, but I didn't have to. I could keep my pants on, so it's not that bad. They just sort of poke it for a bit. It's really not as bad as it sounds. But yeah, they do blood samples too, and blood tests and whatever, just to make sure not nice. Just make sure you won't have any allergic reactions to the hormones or whatever. So yeah, and then once they do that, they'll call you back for another appointment a few months later, like 7 months in my case, and then, well, that's where I am now, basically. So yeah, changing gender. Basically, you to do this, you need to have been diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Basically, that means that they accept, yes, this person is transgender, they are uncomfortable in their current body and they would like to transition, and they are mentally and physically capable of doing so. Once that's been done, and when you get appointed to the gender clinic, that's pretty much when you know that that's happened. You can go to the doctor, your local GP, and you have to request this in writing. You have to ask for a letter that says that you are in the process of changing your gender, and there is a template here that I found on the internet, so you can ask them for this kind of thing. So it should say something like this: you want to request a signed letter from your GP that states the following. And this is basically a general thing that you can use anywhere. So it starts off: to whom it may concern. This is to confirm that my patient, previously known as your old name, is currently undergoing gender reassignment, and as part of this process has changed his or her, use your old pronoun now. So in my case, transitioning from male to female, I would say his. As part of this process has changed his name by statutory declaration to whatever your new name is. New name now lives as new gender, in my case female, and this change is intended to be permanent. Your assistance in making the relevant changes to your records and in preserving full confidentiality will be appreciated. Yours faithfully, and then your doctor's name, and then your doctor signs it. And they will charge an exorbitant fee for this. I mean, at my GP it was like 30 quid. 30 quid just to get a piece of paper that says a few words on it. But yeah, so be prepared for that. That's why it took me so long, because I never had the money for it. And it doesn't have to say exactly that, but it does say something like that. Basically, if you haven't changed your name, then you can just skip that part and just say, this is to confirm that my patient, your name here, is currently undergoing gender reassignment. New name, your name now lives as new gender, and this change is intended to be permanent, whatever. So you can do that. So once you've got that, you go to the bank, because that's the first place you go. Give them the letter, say, I've got this letter from my doctor saying that I am going through gender reassignment. I'm transitioning. Can you change the gender in my bank account? And hopefully they will do it. If they don't, then, well, you can call the complaints department, because they really should have no reason to refuse you. And that's all you need, basically, to change your... You should also, once you've done that, be able to change your gender and name on your passport. You do actually need a doctor's letter for that, for the name change as well as the gender change. You do actually need a doctor's letter confirming that you have changed your name as part of your gender reassignment process. But yeah, that's about it. So this took way longer than I thought, but I think I've said all I need to say, so I'm just going to end it here and say wish me luck for the 20th. I hope it goes well. And yeah, I don't know if anyone is actually going to watch this, but if you do, then, and if you are transitioning, if you are going through the same process as I am, then good luck to you, and I hope everything goes well. So to recap: change name by deed poll or statutory declaration, go to the bank, get the letter from the doctor saying that you are changing your gender, take that to the bank, and that's about it. And then everything else should happen automatically, because like I say, your bank is linked to your credit report, which is linked to everything else important in your life. Basically, your landlord, your doctor, your dentist, your job, everything like that, your benefits, basically anything that you either give money to or receive money from on a regular basis, all is linked to your credit report, which is linked to your bank. So as soon as your bank changes details, they will all get notified automatically, and then they will call you within about a week or two to confirm that you are actually changing your name and gender or whatever. And there is also, you do need to apply for a GRC, gender recognition certificate, and this is the thing that I got stuck on a lot, because in order to get one of those, you have to provide proof that you have been living in your acquired gender for at least 2 years. That means providing bank documents with your new name and gender on them, dated from at least 2 years ago. So, for example, bank statements or tax forms or bills or whatever. And that's where I got stuck, because I haven't got any of those yet, because I haven't legally changed my name or gender yet. And it also costs a hell of a lot, but you can get help with the fees if you are on benefits. So basically that's the final step, that is applying for a gender recognition certificate, and once you've got that, then anything you couldn't do before, you could do then. So yeah, so I'll say goodbye for now. Thank you for watching. If you watched this far, thank you. And I'll put the links in the description to most of the places I mentioned, so you can check those out. And yeah, good luck in your lives and whatever you do. Take care, love and peace.